Yo, yo, yo. What's up, guys? It's the former principal of Peru, Too Many Tendies here, and today we're going to be reviewing One Piece chapter 990. 990. We're getting close to 1000. Chapter 990, A Lone Force. This week's chapter, I would say, is a little bit more concise than last week's chapter. It's more it's more of a clear delivery. These type of chapters, to me personally, work better in the anime than the actual manga. I just feel them as better episodes of the show than like actual chapters to read. Not a very lore heavy chapter, but let's just get right into it. The chapter starts with I always forget the one of the Tobiropo, the fishman Tobiropo, the one that got tied up by Kiroshiro, and he's just talking about the fact that he's got betrayed by him and took a lot of offense to that. He got freed because when Big Mom was thrown out of the castle by the Straw Hats, it knocked down the tree that he was tied to. He said it's some sort of sacred tree. He gets freed, and he says he's going to take vengeance on Kiroshiro, which is most likely going to lead up to a fight between those two or something along those lines. I hope we don't focus too heavily on it when we eventually get to it. I hope it's just like a single chapter fight, but that should be interesting. Oda continues to make the pairings for the rest of this arc. You're going to see that even more. We're getting the pairings for who's going to be fighting who in the rest of the arc. But after that, we cut back to the top of Onigashima, where the Minx and Jack are fighting, and Kaido's kind of just watching. The scabbards are just watching, and Kaido is kind of just watching as we see a bloodied up mammoth formed Jack with swords and stuff in his body, which means the Minks are really they're really getting at it, and it's not a surprise. Nekomamushi tells Kinemon at some point in the arc that, or I mean in this chapter, to like back up, this is our fight. Not like aggressively or anything like that, but he was about to get involved with the fight between them and Jack. But it's kind of their fight. It is a bit personal. After that, we get back to the inside of Onigashima, and we cut to Queen and King, and they're bickering a bit. King seems to be laying the blame on Queen for everything that's going on, but not much really comes out of that. I didn't think that we would get straight to the commanders fighting with the Straw Hats. I feel like we're still going to build to that for a little bit more. I wish we did, though, but that just wasn't what it was meant to be this time around. But now to the bulk of this chapter. I'm not trying to speed through things, but I'm just trying to keep this a little bit shorter of a review. We get extra. The main characters of this chapter, I probably would say, is Hawkins and X-Drake. Out of like overall plot development. There's a couple big things that actually do happen that we learn from these two interactions. Hawkins is doing his tarot card reading thing that he does, and he says at some point while sitting in a room with Hawkins, still talking to Hawkins, talking to X-Drake, he says there's a 1% chance that this guy, some unknown character, is going to die, or there's a 99% chance a character is going to die, and there's a 1% chance that he's going to live. This could be a lot of things. This could be Oda throwing out a red herring. This could be Oda misdirecting us, or this could be Oda just straight up adding some stakes to this arc, saying that a character is going to die, and which I would not be totally surprised by. I have my guesses for different reasons. Of course, the most impactful one I think that we all have been thinking about for a long time would be this might be the arc that Law goes, and really pushes Luffy over the edge of like getting like to that level of just rage, or it could be Kaido. Who knows? Eventually, Who's Who comes into the room with X Drake and Hawkins, and he says to them, "Hey, I need you guys. Come on, we're gonna go do something since there's a ruckus going on, pretty much." And X Drake is kind of like, What's going on? What are we doing? We're gonna take out one of the calamities. This is our perfect opportunity. And he says it's going to be Queen. We're taking out Queen. We've already had the setup for these two seemingly to be having a bit of an issue, but we like now they're kind of just like, this is happening. But we later find out this is another case of a misdirection. It cuts back to, it leaves X Drake and Hawkins, and we get back to the main hall with the Straw Hats and the Samurai allies and the Yakuza all fighting. They're pretty much just fighting numbers and gifters right now. The Straw Hats are pretty much just showing off, and it's kind of sad what's happened with the numbers, where it's pretty much clear what they are. They're just more fodder, but they're big fodder. They're big old boys. So Oda can show how strong the Straw Hats are without having them just wreck these characters that are supposed to be more formidable, like the Tobiropo or the Calamities or anything like that. They're making pretty short order of them. So all the allied samurais, they're extremely impressed. They're just like, wow, these guys are so much strong. Zoro like cuts in half one of the numbers' weapons, and Jinbei catches it with one hand. They're doing their usual Straw Hat thing. For some reason, Luffy goes into Gear Force to take one of them out, which is a little bit strange because I feel like he could easily take one of these guys out without doing that. But it's just more Straw Hat looking cool fodder. That's one of the reasons I say this would probably be a better episode of the anime than a chapter to read. It's a little, there's not a lot like lore really going wrong, but the main point of this chapter we get back to when we cut back to X Drake, Hawkins, and Who's Who. Now they're in front of Queen. And it looks like Hawkins and Who's Who turned their back on X Drake, and they beat up X Drake, and it turns out it was a setup. Queen was in on the whole thing, and he says, "Look, we're here to kick your ass. We know you were the one who helped free Trafalgar Law. You're a traitor. We're gonna kill you." And we don't know if that is what Hawkins was referring to earlier, but there's a chance of that. But it could also be another case of misdirection. So they're beating on X Drake, and X Drake breaks out. He frees himself. He goes into his hybrid Zoan form, and he escapes. And he hops from the main dining hall area. In the midst of battle, he escapes from Queen and Who's Who and Hawkins. We don't get to see anything action out of Who's Who. We still don't know what his abilities are or what anything really about the character, but it seems like he's more loyal to Queen and Kaido than it was originally painted to be. I guess their whole argument was just part of their setup to ease X Drake into revealing himself. Now, I don't know if this means... I'm pretty sure this doesn't mean that they found out that X Drake is part of SWORD or is still secretly a Marine and not really a pirate. I doubt that it means anything like that. I just think that it's pretty straightforward. It's because he helped free Trafalgar Law. We still don't know Hawkins' real stance on everything, but it looks like he's more loyal to Kaido than it seems, because earlier in the chapter, I think X Drake says something like, "Hey, let's go do something," or something like that, and Hawkins says, "Turn traitor, no way." But I still think there's a chance that Hawkins is going to end up fighting with the rest of the worst generation by the after all things said and done. Scratchman Apu, probably not. Just off of the sheer fact that Kid wouldn't allow it. He probably still wants to kill the guy if he didn't already, which I wouldn't like. It wouldn't be the end of the world if he did that. The chapter ends with X Drake hopping out in his hybrid form, and he's diving, and he sees Luffy. He has a little bit of a flashback where he thinks back to Kobe, and apparently some point he had a conversation with Kobe, who we also know is in Sword, so we already know their relationship, saying how great of a guy Luffy is. So he's like, he has nobody to trust here. He's stuck and he's panicking. He's just like, where do I go? Do I go to the Navy? I can't go back to the Navy yet. That's something I have to do later. My mission's not done yet. So he hops out. He sees Luffy and he's like, hey, Straw Hat, let me fight with you. And reasonably so, Luffy has no idea who he is or anything that's going on. I don't think Luffy has ever been formally introduced or anything like that with X Drake, and we know that Luffy is not a very worldly guy, so even if he was aware of X Drake at some point, he probably forgot the name. So he sees him in his hybrid form. He takes out one of the numbers. Luffy just King Kong gunned one of the numbers, and that's where we end. Sadly, it's a break next week, but it looks like it's just going to be more straight action. Who knows what Oda is going to give us? But I say this is a pretty solid chapter. It didn't do a lot pushing the story forward, but this X Drake revelation just adds to the forces, and the show makes the Straw Hat Alliance even more formidable, because at the end of the day, X Drake was one of the Tobiropo. So one, that takes out one of the Tobiropo. Two, he's a pretty strong character from what we understand. And three, it just, I don't really have a three. I'm going to end it on that, and thank you guys for watching my video. Please do hit that like button and subscribe for more weekly One Piece chapter reviews and other commentary videos. Next video I'm doing is going to be on what happens to be my favorite anime of this season. Miss Uzaki-chan would like to hang out. Alright guys, thanks, have a good one.